You ever notice how the loudest person in the room isn't always the one in control? Think about that. Noise is a distraction. People scream, they argue, they clap back because they think reaction equals strength. But the truth, real power doesn't make noise. It moves in silence. And that's what most people don't understand. They confuse motion for progress, reaction for strength. But silence is strategy. Now, let me tell you something about stillness. Stillness isn't weakness. Stillness isn't being passive. Stillness is the ability to hold yourself when every fiber of your being wants to explode, when everything inside you wants to respond, to defend, to clap back. But you don't. You breathe. You wait, because you understand something they don't. Not every fight is worth your energy. Not every word deserves your reply. Sometimes the loudest victory is your silence. You see, people who thrive on chaos, they live for your reaction. They want you to yell, to text back in all caps, to throw that shade online. They need that because your reaction gives them life. It feeds them. But when you stay quiet, when you don't move, when you don't respond, that silence burns louder than any words you could ever speak. That silence is unsettling. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're planning. They don't know where you stand. And that mystery, that's power. I know some of you sitting here right now thinking, but what if they think they won? Let them. Let them think they got one over on you. That's ego talking. Your ego wants to correct the narrative. Your ego wants to make sure the world knows you weren't wrong. But I'm telling you, that urge to defend yourself, that's the trap. The moment you bite, you lose control. And when you lose control, you lose the game. Silence keeps you in control. Silence says, I'm not playing your game. I'm too big for that. Now listen, I'm not saying stay quiet about everything in life. There's a time to speak and a time to roar. But if every time somebody provokes you, you respond, you're not in control. They are. They set the tone. They set the tempo. They control the outcome. You're just dancing to their beat, and you don't even realize it. But when you learn to be still, when you master the art of shutting up and walking away, you become untouchable, because nothing they do can move you. Nothing they say can shake you. That's not weakness. That's discipline. That's strength. People don't respect noise. They respect composure. They respect restraint. They respect the person who could destroy them with words but chooses not to. Why? Because that shows power beyond impulse. Anybody can react. Anybody can yell. Anybody can type a paragraph in anger. But it takes a giant to stay calm when the world is poking at you. It takes strength to hold your tongue, to hold your hands, to hold your peace. That's where your growth is. That's where your character shines. And let me tell you something about life. Sometimes you don't win by fighting. Sometimes you win by walking away so quietly that they don't even notice you're gone until they need you. And when they realize you're gone, that's when the silence hits hardest. That's when the absence speaks louder than any argument you could have had. That's when they understand what they lost. Not because you told them, not because you posted about it, but because you said nothing. So next time somebody tries to pull you into drama, somebody tries to bait you into reacting, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, if I answer this, what do I gain? What do I lose? And if the answer doesn't serve your peace, don't answer. Don't react, because your silence, that's your weapon. That's your shield. That's your crown. And if you're feeling that right now, if you understand the power of staying calm when the storm is raging, let me hear you say it, I'm bigger than the noise. Say it again so the world knows you mean it. I'm bigger than the noise. Because from this day forward, you're not giving free rent in your mind to people who haven't earned it. You're not reacting. You're not clapping back. You're not dancing to their beat. You're walking to your own rhythm, and that rhythm is silent. Every time you react, you pay. You may not see it in dollars, but trust me, the cost is real. It costs you time, it costs you energy, it costs you peace. And sometimes it costs you opportunities you don't even know you're losing because you're too busy clapping back at something that didn't even deserve your attention. Now, Think about this. How many times have you let somebody pull you out of character? They said something, they posted something, they did something, and you felt that fire rise inside you. And you just had to respond. You couldn't let it slide. You couldn't let them think they got away with it. So you reacted. And in that moment, it felt good. You felt powerful. You felt like you got the last word. But then what? When the smoke cleared, what did you really win? Did you get your peace back? Did you get your time back? No. You gave all that away. You paid for a moment of satisfaction with hours of regret. That's the cost. And it's higher than you think. Because every time you react, you hand them your power. You hand them control. You let them dictate how you feel, how you move, how you act. And the truth is, the person who can make you angry controls you. The person who can make you step out of your character owns you in that moment. And I don't know about you, but I refuse to let anybody own me like that. I refuse to let somebody pull my strings like a puppet because they know I'll dance every time they tug. And it's not just about anger. It's about distraction. Some of you have dreams you haven't even started chasing yet because you're too busy reacting to things that don't matter. You're too busy arguing in comment sections. You're too busy sending paragraphs to people who don't deserve a sentence. You're too busy proving a point to people who don't even matter in the story of your life. That's the cost. You're trading purpose for pettiness. You're trading your future for a fight that means nothing. I've seen people lose relationships because of reaction, lose jobs because of reaction, lose opportunities because of reaction, all because they couldn't master themselves. And that's the real test. Not can you control the world, can you control you? Can you stay grounded when everything around you is trying to shake you? Can you hold your tongue when the perfect comeback is sitting on the tip of it? Can you keep your hands steady when every part of you wants to let loose? That's strength. That's discipline. And that discipline saves you from losses you don't even see coming. Because here's the truth. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to show up to every fight somebody tries to start with you. And when you do, you lose. You lose the most valuable thing you have, your energy. And once your energy is gone, everything else suffers. Your focus suffers. Your creativity suffers. Your confidence suffers. Because you gave it all away to something that didn't even deserve your breath. So the next time you feel that urge rising, the next time your fingers are itching to type that message, the next time you feel your blood boiling because somebody disrespected you, I want you to stop and ask yourself, what is this going to cost me? And is it worth the price? Because 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. It's not worth your peace. It's not worth your focus. It's not worth your future. Let them have the last word. Let them talk. Let them post. Let them think whatever they want to think. Because when you stop reacting, you start winning. When you stop reacting, you take back your power. When you stop reacting, you save your energy for the battles that matter, the ones that build you, not break you. And if you hear me on this, if you feel this, I want you to say it right now. I will not pay the price for reaction. Say it louder so the old you hears it. I will not pay the price for reaction. Because from this moment on, you're done giving discounts on your peace. You're done giving away your strength for free. You're done letting other people write the script of your day. This is your life, your story, your energy. Protect it like your future depends on it. Because it does. There's a difference between leaving and making an exit. Most people, when they walk away, they need to announce it. They need to slam the door, send the message, post the status, I'm done. But real strength, real power, it doesn't need an announcement. It just moves quietly, silently. And when they finally notice you're gone, it's too late. See, walking away without noise is an art. Because silence, when you leave, is louder than any goodbye you could ever say. Silence says, you can't reach me anymore. Silence says, you had access and now it's gone. And that's why it hits harder than anger ever could. Anger shows you still care. Anger says, you still matter to me enough for me to react. But silence is indifference. And that indifference, That's what stings. You ever notice how people act when they lose what they thought they'd always have? They get loud, they get dramatic. They start throwing shade. Why? Because they didn't expect you to leave without warning. They thought you'd argue. They thought you'd plead. They thought you'd fight to stay. And when you didn't, when you just went quiet, that silence became the loudest message they ever heard. And you didn't even have to speak. Now, let me tell you why this matters. When you leave silently, you're not just leaving them, you're leaving their control. You're leaving their drama. You're leaving their power over your peace. And you do it without explanation, because explanations are for people who plan on coming back. You're not coming back. You're gone. And when you leave like that, it forces people to sit with the reality of who they are, what they did, and what they lost. But here's the catch. You can't fake this. You can't say you're leaving silently and then check their page every day. You can't cut them off in person and then stalk them online. No. If you're going to do this, you've got to do it all the way. No calls, no texts, no late night scrolls, nothing. Complete silence. Because if you leave the door cracked, they'll push it open. And then you're right back where you started, reacting, explaining, proving, defending. You're better than that. Close the door and lock it. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but won't they think I'm weak? Won't they think they won? Listen to me. You don't need them to know you're strong. You don't need them to know you're winning. The win is in your peace. The win is in your progress. The win is in the fact that while they're talking about you, you're too busy leveling up to even hear it. That's the win. That's the flex. And it's silent. And let's talk about discipline for a second, because leaving silently isn't easy. It takes restraint not to send that message, not to make that post, not to give them one last shot before you go. It takes strength to swallow your pride and walk away without getting the last word. But when you master that, when you can cut off access without cutting up in the process, that's power, that's growth. That's what separates the ones who stay stuck from the ones who move forward. So when it's time to go, don't announce it. Don't warn them. Don't explain. Just go quietly, calmly, and let your absence do the talking. Because trust me, absence speaks louder than any speech you could give. Absence is a mirror. It forces them to look at themselves. And when they do, they'll see exactly why you're gone. You don't need to say a word. If you feel that, if you know you're ready to stop arguing and start moving, I want you to say it out loud right now. My silence is my strength. Say it like you mean it. My silence is my strength. Because from this day forward, you're not giving anyone a warning shot. You're not giving anyone a goodbye speech. You're not giving anyone access to your energy once they've shown they don't deserve it. You walk away. And you do it quietly, because that's how real power moves. You ever notice how some of the loudest conversations you've ever had never used words? Silence talks, and it talks louder than anything you could ever say. You can scream, you can argue, you can defend yourself for hours, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. Nothing at all. See, when you stop responding, when you stop explaining, when you stop reacting, people notice. They notice because they're used to getting a response from you. They're used to you explaining yourself, clearing up the misunderstanding, making sure everybody knows your side of the story. And when you don't, when you just go quiet, that silence feels heavy. It makes them think. It makes them uncomfortable. And that's exactly why it works. Silence isn't empty. Silence is full of meaning. It says, I'm not giving you my energy anymore. It says, you're not worth a response. It says, you no longer have access to me. And that's louder than any words you could ever put together. Because words can be argued with. Words can be twisted. But silence can't be touched. Silence leaves people guessing. And nothing messes with a person more than not knowing what you're thinking. Now, let me tell you why this matters so much. When you choose silence, you choose control. Because in that moment, you're saying, I control me. You can't control what they do. You can't control what they say. But you can control how you respond. And when your response is silence, that's you saying, you don't dictate my emotions. You don't get to decide my day. You don't move me. That's strength. That's discipline. And that's rare. You see, everybody can talk. Everybody can post. Everybody can argue. That's easy. That takes no self-control. But silence. Silence takes strength. Silence takes patience. Silence takes maturity. Because it's not about what you want to do in the moment. It's about what's best for you in the long run. And in the long run, silence protects you. Silence saves you from saying something you can't take back. Silence saves you from getting pulled into a fight you didn't need to fight. Silence saves you from wasting time on people who don't deserve your time. And don't get it twisted. Silence doesn't mean you're weak. Silence doesn't mean you're scared. Silence means you've outgrown the need to prove yourself. Silence means you understand that every battle isn't worth your sword. Silence means you know your worth and you refuse to bargain with people who don't see it. That's power. Now, I'm going to be real with you. Choosing silence isn't easy. It's hard when somebody lies on your name. It's hard when somebody disrespects you in front of everybody. It's hard when everything in you wants to defend yourself. But that's the test. Can you keep your mouth closed when your pride is screaming to speak? Can you stay calm when the world is expecting you to explode? Because when you can do that, you've already won. You've already proven that you're bigger than the drama. You've already shown that nothing outside of you can control what's inside of you. And I promise you, silence always makes the loudest noise in the end. Because while they're talking, while they're trying to figure you out, while they're throwing shots, you're leveling up. You're growing. You're moving forward. And one day, they're going to look up and realize they wasted all that energy on you while you never even broke your stride. That's when silence hits hardest. So the next time you're tempted to react, the next time somebody tries to pull you into their storm, I want you to remember these storms make noise. But the sky after the storm, that's quiet. That's peace. And that's where you belong. If you feel me on this, if you know you're ready to stop speaking just to be heard, I want you to say it right now. My silence will speak for me. Say it like you believe it. My silence will speak for me. Because from this moment on, you don't need to announce who you are. You don't need to argue about what you're worth. You don't need to respond to every shot that's fired. Your silence will say it all. Everything in life comes down to one thing: control. Who has it and who doesn't? And I'm not talking about controlling other people. That's an illusion. I'm talking about controlling yourself. Because the moment you lose control of you, somebody else owns you. And the quickest way to lose control, reacting. Every time you react, you hand somebody the keys to your peace, your focus, your energy. You let them drive your emotions. And most of the time, they don't even deserve a seat in your car. Here's the truth nobody likes to admit. People test you to see how much control you have over yourself. They'll push buttons. They'll poke at your insecurities. They'll say things just to see if you'll break character. And when you do, when you blow up, when you clap back, when you take the bait, that's proof. Proof that they control you. You didn't move because you wanted to. You moved because they made you. And that is not power. That is weakness disguised as strength. But when you don't react, when you hold your ground, when you stay calm while they're losing it, that changes the game. That says, you don't run me, you don't decide my mood, you don't pull my strings. And that messes with people, because the one thing manipulators hate is losing control of their target. They live for your reaction. They feed on it. It tells them they matter. It tells them they got to you. So what happens when you don't give it to them? They starve. And nothing shakes a person more than being ignored when they were expecting a fight. Control isn't loud. Control doesn't need to prove itself. Control is quiet, calm, measured. It's the person who looks you dead in the eye, listens to every word you say, and doesn't flinch, doesn't fold, doesn't fire back. Not because they're scared, but because they're smart, because they understand this: the strongest person in the room is the one who isn't moved. And that's why mastering control is so important, because life will keep throwing things at you. People will keep trying you. The world will keep testing you. And if every time something comes at you, you react, you'll spend your whole life being pulled like a puppet on a string. But if you can stay centered, if you can master your emotions, then you're untouchable. Because no matter what they do, no matter what they say, you stay grounded. And when you stay grounded, you make better decisions. You think clearly, you move strategically. You protect your peace at all costs. Now, let me break something down for you. Control doesn't mean suppression. It doesn't mean pretending you don't feel what you feel. It means discipline. It means feeling everything and still choosing not to let your feelings run your life. It means saying, yeah, I'm angry. Yeah, I'm hurt. Yeah, I'm frustrated, but I'm not going to let that control me. I control me. That's power. That's growth. That's freedom. Because when you can't control yourself, you can't control anything else. You can't control your relationships. You can't control your career. You can't control your future. Everything starts with you, and the world respects that. People respect that. They may not admit it, but they feel it. When you walk into a room and your energy says, I'm steady, I'm calm, I'm not moved by chaos, people sense that. And they treat you differently because they know they can't shake you. They know they can't play you. They know they can't pull you into their storm because you bring your own peace wherever you go. So the next time somebody tries you, the next time they come for you, I want you to pause. I want you to breathe. And I want you to remind yourself, I control me. Say it right now. Out loud. I control me. Louder so the old you hears it. I control me. Because from this moment on, you're not letting anyone take that from you. You're not letting anyone pull you out of character. You're not letting anyone dictate your mood. They don't deserve that kind of power. Only you do. When it's time to walk away, walk. Don't stomp. Don't slam the door. Don't throw a parade to let everybody know you're leaving. Just walk quietly, calmly, with purpose. Because the loudest exits come from the quietest steps. Most people can't do that. They need to make noise. They need to post a message, send a warning, say something to make sure you know they're done. But when you've grown, when you've elevated, when you know your worth, you don't need that. You don't need to announce your departure, because the impact of your absence will speak for itself, and it will speak louder than anything you could ever say on your way out. You see, walking away without noise is about control. It's about discipline. It's about saying, I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe you an argument. I don't owe you closure, because closure is a gift for people who cared enough to keep the door closed in the first place. If they couldn't value you when they had you, they don't deserve a front row seat to your exit. Let them figure it out. Let them wonder. Let them feel the silence. That silence that's going to echo louder than any speech you could have given. And here's what makes it so powerful. When you leave without noise, you leave without baggage. Because every time you try to explain why you're leaving, every time you go back and forth, every time you justify your decision, you're carrying weight that isn't yours anymore. You're dragging out a situation that should have ended the moment you decided you were done. But when you walk away quietly, you cut it off clean. No strings, no loose ends, just freedom. Now, I know why people struggle with this. It's pride. Pride says, I need them to know why. I need them to know I'm done. But pride is expensive. It costs you peace. It costs you time. And if you're not careful, it'll cost you progress. Because while you're busy proving your point, you're still standing in the same place. You're not moving. You're not growing. You're not healing. You're just spinning in circles trying to make sure somebody understands something they were never willing to understand in the first place. You don't have time for that. You've got things to do. You've got a life to build. You've got a future that doesn't include the drama you're walking away from. So when it's time to go, go. Don't hesitate. Don't argue. Don't look back. Because the moment you look back, you start slowing down. And you can't afford to slow down. Not for them, not for the noise. Let me tell you something. The people who really value you, the people who really care, they'll notice your silence. They'll notice your absence. They'll feel it. And if they want to fix it, they'll do what they need to do. But you don't have to say a word. You don't have to plead. You don't have to explain. You just keep moving, because movement is louder than words. Progress is louder than speeches. Your success, your peace, your growth, those are the loudest statements you will ever make, and they're made in silence. So the next time life tells you it's time to walk away, I want you to do it without noise. No warnings, no announcements, just action, quiet action. Because noise is for people who need attention. Silence is for people who have direction. And you've got direction. You've got purpose. You've got something bigger waiting for you. Don't miss it because you're too busy trying to make sure somebody hears your goodbye. If you feel that, if you know you're ready to walk away from what doesn't serve you without saying a word, I want you to say this right now. I'm done explaining my exits. Say it louder. I'm done explaining my exits, because from this day forward, you're not leaving with noise, you're leaving with peace. And that's the loudest sound you'll ever make.